There's only one relationship in the entire world where you get to choose. Just one. Your parents? You don't choose them. Your siblings? Not your choice. Your coworkers, your neighbors, your cousins, all assigned to you by circumstances you never controlled. But friends? That's the only relationship where both people look at each other and say, yes, I choose you. And you have none. Think about how brutal that actually is. The one relationship that's supposed to be your choice. The one connection in life that says someone actively wants you in their world, and you're living without it. Not because you're stuck with the wrong people, like a bad family or a toxic workplace, but because when given the freedom to choose, nobody chose you. Or worse, you couldn't choose them. Right now, while you're watching this, your brain is structurally different from someone who has friends. Not damaged, not broken, different. And Carl Jung knew exactly why this happens. He discovered something about people without friends that sounds impossible, but I can prove it to you. Your isolation gave you an ability that people with normal social lives will never have. But this same ability is exactly why you can't connect with them anymore. It's a gift and a curse wrapped into one, and it's rewiring how you see every person you meet. But before I explain what Jung discovered, you need to understand something harsh. Your friendlessness might not be bad luck or social anxiety or bad timing. It might be a choice you made without realizing it. A choice between two versions of hell that most people never have to face. Let me guess something about you. You're not sitting at home crying every day about being alone. You've actually gotten comfortable with it. Maybe too comfortable. You've built a whole life that works without other people. You have your routines, your interests, your ways of spending time that don't involve anyone else. And here's what secretly terrifies you. Part of you prefers it this way now. The idea of someone texting you, wanting to hang out, needing your time and energy, it doesn't excite you anymore. It exhausts you. Jung had a word for what you're showing the world. He called it the persona, the mask. And here's the dark part. Nobody tells you. Most friendships are just masks talking to other masks, people performing the role of a good friend, performing interest in your life, performing like they care about your problems. It's all theater, safe theater, comfortable theater, fake theater. And at some point, you saw through it. Maybe years ago, maybe last week. But there was a moment when you realized that what everyone calls friendship is actually just two people agreeing to never get too real with each other. And you couldn't play that game anymore. Not because you're better than everyone else, because something inside you broke. You remember the moment. You got too excited about something you loved, and someone gave you that look, that calm down look. Or you cried when you were supposed to stay strong, and they got uncomfortable. Or you shared a thought too weird, too dark, too honest, and the conversation died. That's when you learned the rules. Be interesting, but not too interesting. Have depth, but keep it shallow. Show emotion, but only the acceptable kind. Be yourself, but not so much that it makes me uncomfortable. So you made a choice without realizing it. If being yourself means being alone, you'd rather be alone. You started burying parts of yourself, your intensity, your strange thoughts, your desperate need for real connection. Carl Jung called this the shadow. Everything the world rejected, you stuffed into this dark corner. And here's what's terrifying. The shadow doesn't stay quiet. It grows. The longer you keep parts of yourself buried, the more they control you without you realizing it. They're why you sabotage connections before they start. Why you find something wrong with everyone who tries to get close. But Jung discovered something else. People who live close to their shadow develop an ability others never get. You spot fake friendship instantly. You see when smiles don't reach eyes. You feel the emptiness beneath conversations everyone else accepts. You see people performing happiness, performing connection, and you can't unsee it. That's your curse. Once you see how fake most friendship is, you can't participate anymore. When external friendships disappear, something strange happens inside your mind. Jung talked about inner companions he called the anima and animus. For most people, these voices stay quiet, background noise. But for you, they've become deafening. You've built entire relationships inside your own head. You have conversations with people who don't exist, debates with imaginary friends who understand you better than real humans ever did. And here's the scary part. They're not childish fantasies. They're sophisticated. They challenge you, comfort you, celebrate your wins when no one else notices. And they never disappoint, never cancel plans, never ghost you, never look at you like you're too much. They're always there, always understanding, always exactly what you need. Now real people feel inadequate. Someone tries to connect and you compare them to the perfect companion in your head. They say something slightly wrong and you think, my inner voice would have understood. They're busy when you need them and you think, I'm never busy for myself. You've been imagining the perfect friend for so long that no actual human can compete. You reject people for not being deep enough, not consistent enough, not authentic enough, not available enough. You have a checklist nobody knows exists, and everyone fails it. Here's the brutal truth Jung would force you to face. You're not comparing potential friends to real humans anymore. You're comparing them to gods you created during years of loneliness. Gods who have no bad days, no problems, no limitations, no humanity. Real people get tired. They have trauma that makes them pull away. They misread your texts. They forget things. They cancel plans. They say the wrong thing. They're human, flawed, imperfect, and you can't accept that anymore. You forgot that every deep friendship starts shallow, that trust is built slowly through 1,000 small moments, not instantly. You want someone to show up already understanding you, already committed, already safe. You want 10 years of friendship in the first coffee meetup. So you stay alone, waiting for someone who doesn't exist, rejecting everyone who does. And some of those people could have become what you're looking for if you'd given them time, if you'd let them be imperfect. But you'll never know now. Jung talked about the transcendent function, your psyche's ability to hold two opposite truths without breaking. And you're being forced to live in this contradiction whether you want to or not. You desperately need deep connection, and you can't accept shallow connection. You're worthy of love, and you're terrified of being known. You want to belong, and you refuse to betray yourself to fit in. You're isolated, and you're rich with inner life. Most people choose one side. They either accept shallow friendships and pretend it's enough, or they embrace isolation and pretend they prefer it. But you can't lie to yourself anymore. You know shallow friendship feels like slow death, but you also know isolation is destroying you differently. You're trapped between two truths that won't let go. You can't go back to faking friendships. Your soul won't let you. But you also can't keep living in total isolation. Your humanity won't survive it. Jung would say this tension is exactly where you're supposed to be, that the friction between opposites is what creates transformation. But that's easy to say when you're not spending another Friday night alone while knowing you'd hate being at the party you weren't invited to anyway. Here's what your friendlessness actually taught you. Things people with shallow friends will never learn.
You know the difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is aching for connection you don't have. Solitude is peace with being alone. Most people never learn to tell them apart. You know the real cost of authenticity, not the Instagram version where being yourself magically attracts your tribe. The real cost: empty rooms, silent phones, birthdays no one remembers. You paid that price and survived. That's not weakness. That's strength most people don't have. You know the value of your own company. You became your own friend, your own support, your own comfort. You sat with yourself through the worst moments with no one to call. That's a kind of strength others never develop because they've always had someone to lean on. And you know how rare real connection actually is. You refused to settle for the fake version. You spent years alone rather than accept pretend friendship. That makes you either incredibly brave or incredibly stubborn. Probably both. You're not broken. You're being forged into something most people never become. Someone who values truth over comfort, depth over quantity, reality over performance. Jung believed that what wounds you most deeply becomes your greatest gift to the world. And your friendlessness, it carved something into you that most people will never have. You can see through pretense instantly. While others believe the performance, you spot the cracks. You see when someone's smile is fake, when laughter sounds hollow, when confidence hides desperation. You recognize loneliness in crowded rooms that everyone else is too distracted to notice. You have courage most people don't possess. The courage to stand alone rather than twist yourself into shapes that fit. Most people fold. They silence the parts that make others uncomfortable. They trade authenticity for belonging and call it growing up. You didn't. You couldn't. Something in you refused even when it cost you everyone. You possess self-knowledge most never achieve. Thousands of hours alone with yourself. No distractions, no one to perform for. Just brutal honesty that comes when there's no one around to lie to. You know your patterns, your triggers, your shadows. Not because you wanted this knowledge, because isolation forced you to look. And you have compassion for the secretly lonely. You see them, the ones at parties whose eyes are empty, the ones who talk constantly because silence terrifies them, the ones collecting surface friendships like armor. You recognize them because you are them. The world doesn't need more people performing happiness. It's drowning in fake smiles and forced positivity. What it actually needs is people like you. People who walked through isolation and came back real. People who can't fake it anymore. People who know the difference between connection and performance. Your isolation wasn't punishment. It was initiation. You weren't being rejected. You were being prepared for something the world doesn't know it needs yet. Someone who can hold space for real emotion in a culture terrified of feelings. Someone who offers depth in a world obsessed with surface. Maybe it's time to stop waiting for someone perfect enough to deserve your depth. Maybe it's time to offer your depth to someone brave enough to grow into it. Not because they've earned it, because your gift was never meant to stay locked inside you. Jung said, the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. You've paid the price. You've faced your shadows. You've integrated the parts others rejected. You became real in a world addicted to fake. Now, the question isn't whether you're worthy of connection. It's whether you're brave enough to offer what you've become to a world that might not understand it. You are not broken. You are awake, and the world needs you exactly as you are. You're not broken. You're not defective. You're not too much or too little or too weird or too intense. You're awake in a world that's asleep, and that's not a curse. That's a responsibility. Every person you see performing happiness while dying inside, they need someone like you who can see through it. Every person collecting fake friends while feeling completely alone, they're waiting for someone real, even if they don't know it yet. Every person too scared to be themselves, they need proof that authenticity is possible. That's you. You're the proof. Your depth isn't a flaw. It's what makes you worth knowing. Your inability to fake connection isn't a social disability, it's integrity. Your refusal to play the game isn't antisocial, it's brave. Jung spent his entire life studying the human psyche, and he concluded one thing: the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Not who your family wants, not who society expects, not who your friends would be comfortable with. Who you truly are. You've already paid the price for that privilege. You've walked through years of isolation. You've sat with your shadow. You've faced parts of yourself most people run from their entire lives. You've become real in a world addicted to fake. So stop apologizing for it. Stop hiding it. Stop waiting for permission to exist as you are. The world needs you exactly as you are. Not a smaller version, not a quieter version, not a version that makes everyone comfortable. You, awake, real, unfiltered. That's what changes everything.